While Richardson played last night against the Bengals, one guy that did not play last night in that same game was Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase continues to hold out, as does CeeDee Lamb, as does Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk is actually, he's holding in. He's at the 49ers facility, but he is not practicing. So my question to both of you guys is at what point do you hit the panic button on these guys? Like, because I'll be honest with you, we're all doing a guillotine league draft. The show and a lot of our producers behind the scenes as well. I had the eighth pick, and I'm actually up right now in the second round, which I'll deal with in a second. But at Jamar Chase was sitting there for me at pick 8, and proud fantasy life investor Jamar Chase. I love Jamar Chase, but I passed on him. I took Garrett Wilson, just because, especially in guillotine league where one bad week and your season's over, and if Jamar Chase misses his first game, not getting production from a number 1 pick in a 14-team league. But so my question to you specifically, though, is for people that aren't playing guillotine leagues, because there are voids in that. At what point do we start panicking? Like, if you have the number 2 pick in a draft tomorrow, are you taking CeeDee Lamb, assuming McCaffrey goes 1?
So for me, it's all about degrees, and as we get closer to the season, and the season, by the way, is like 2 weeks from yesterday, so it's coming. We're already kicked into the first degree. Where right now, if I'm drafting, I think I'd rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown than Jamar Chase. I think that first kind of knob has been turned. I think CeeDee Lamb, I feel like with CeeDee, it's strange because he's got just 1 year left on the contract. Chase has 2. The Chase situation, just the reporting around it seems a little bit more uncertain, whereas with CeeDee, there's always been confidence that it's going to get done. So I still feel better about CeeDee. Also just think that CeeDee is going to have a better season than Chase. But now we're getting to the point where this drifts another like 4 or 5 days. Then even in redraft leagues, then maybe I do want Garrett Wilson and A.J. Brown over Jamar Chase. I'd probably still take Chase at the moment, but we're already ticking into that kind of zone. But what do you think, Denny?
I'm already at the point, guys, where I am taking A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson over Chase. I feel more confident. I like A.J. Brown a lot this year. That's another discussion. As far as CeeDee Lamb goes, I mean, I'm good taking Tyreek Hill at number 2 rather than taking CeeDee Lamb. Tyreek's locked in, no contract issues. I know he has the thumb thing, but that's apparently not a big deal according to Mike McDaniel. So I'm good with Tyreek, who, by the way, he was gonna have like a legendary season last year until he got dinged up. So I think that's in his range of outcomes this year too. Okay.
Yep. One to monitor and keep checking back in. But yeah, it is officially time to worry about those guys. It is not time to worry about Carson Steele, Matthew, who was the star.
Well, before you move on, I just want to mention one thing about that. Like, do you guys have any concern, very quickly, do you have any concern about, let's say they come back though, but they missed all of training camp. I mean, think about Chris Johnson, who held out in 2011, came back and he saw a drop off in touches, rushing yards, and total touchdowns. Let's see. And Maurice Jones-Drew played just 6. He held out in 2012, played just 6 games before being placed on season-ending IR. Josh Jacobs, last year held out until late August, saw a drop-off in touches, rushing yards, total touchdowns, missed the last 4 games of the regular season with a quad. Now, all those are running backs, not wide receivers. I want to point that out. But still, like, you're not in NFL game shape. You're not in the case of Lamb or Chase, you're just not, in NFL conditioning, even if you're working out. It's not the same as running against defensive backs in practice every day.
Yeah, I'd also bring up, and it's not the same, but like last year, Nick Bosa, who did sign before week 1 and was out there against the Steelers for the Niners. And week 1, he's on a snap count, didn't really do much. And then it was slow and ease into the season for him. The year before, he won Defensive Player of the Year. Last year, he didn't factor into that at all. So, I mean, the thing with this is like, it's speculative as to what the downside is, but it can't be good. It's not like they're going to be out there and fresher and better for sure. Like, there is only downside risk in terms of re-injury, perhaps more likelihood of a soft tissue injury, all of that. And then also just an increased risk of the snap count being lowered first, Denny.
The early season stuff is a concern for both Lamb and Chase. I guess we'll see how it plays out. And I'm not totally fading these guys. Like Matthew said, I mean, you're going to see Chase fall. You're going to see Lamb fall a little bit. I do think there's a point where you have to take them, but I'm just so much more comfortable with a guy like A.J. Brown right now.
Yep. Okay, Bears Chiefs. I think the only thing out of this, Matthew, not super fantasy relevant, but Carson Steele has 4 carries for 51 yards and a touchdown. Is he the guy that you want as insurance for Isaiah Pacheco?
No, I don't think you're going to see Deneric Prince. You're going to see, he's a name to keep on your mind, but also Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think it's going to be, if something were to happen to Pacheco, I think it would be a running back by committee. I think you're better off if you're drafting a backup for somebody else. Also, Velus Jones, 13 carries for 111 yards and a touchdown. And you might be like, wait, I thought Velus Jones was a wide receiver. Yeah. And he got 13 carries. They might be trying to turn him into Cordero Patterson. The only takeaway here is that, again, we've already talked about DeAndre Swift, who was on my hate list last week. This is going to be a crowded backfield. No, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, you have a chance to win $1 million in the NBC Sweepstakes on Yahoo Fantasy. Just download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com/fantasymillion for additional details. What are you waiting for?
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.